Gospel of Mark chapter 6, verses 1 to 56. Reflection after the verses. Verse 1. And he went out from thence, and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him. Verse 2. And when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many hearing him were astonished, saying, From whence hath this man these things? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty works are wrought by his hands? Verse 3. Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James, and Joses, and of Judah, and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. Verse 4. But Jesus said unto them, A prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. Verse 5. And he could there do no mighty work, save that he laid his hands upon a few sick folk, and healed them. Verse 6. And he marveled because of their unbelief. And he went round about the villages, teaching. Reflection on verses 1 to 6. Jesus rejected in Nazareth. When Jesus returns home, people are amazed at his wisdom, but familiar intimacy breeds skepticism. Their unbelief restrains his power. This shows us how close exposure can dull our awe, yet reminds us that faith, not familiarity, invites miracles. Verse 7. And he called unto him the 12, and began to send them forth by 2 and 2, and gave them power over unclean spirits. Verse 8. And commanded them that they should take nothing for their journey, save a staff only, no scrip, no bread, no money in their purse. Verse 9. But be shod with sandals, and not put on 2 coats. Verse 10. And he said unto them, In what place soever ye enter into an house, there abide till ye depart from that place. Verse 11. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear you, when ye depart thence, shake off the dust under your feet for a testimony against them. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment, than for that city. Verse 12. And they went out, and preached that men should repent. Verse 13. And they cast out many devils, and anointed with oil many that were sick, and healed them. Reflection on verses 7 to 13. Commissioning the 12. Jesus sends his disciples in pairs, stripped of provisions but empowered. Their dependency on God, not resources, underscores that holiness and humility matter more than convenience. We, too, are called to rely on God alone as we serve. Verse 14. And King Herod heard of him, for his name was spread abroad, and he said, that John the Baptist was risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him. Verse 15. Others said, that it is Elias. And others said, that it is a prophet, or as one of the prophets. Verse 16. But when Herod heard thereof, he said, It is John, whom I beheaded, he is risen from the dead. Verse 17. For Herod himself had sent forth and laid hold upon John, and bound him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife, for he had married her. Verse 18. For John had said unto Herod, It is not lawful for thee to have thy brother's wife. Verse 19. Therefore Herodias had a quarrel against him, and would have killed him, but she could not. Verse 20. For Herod feared John, knowing that he was a just man and an holy, and observed him, and when he heard him, he did many things, and heard him gladly. Verse 21. And when a convenient day was come, that Herod on his birthday made a supper to his lords, high captains, and chief estates of Galilee. Verse 22. And when the daughter of the said Herodias came in, and danced, and pleased Herod and them that sat with him, the king said unto the damsel, Ask of me whatsoever thou wilt, and I will give it thee. Verse 23. And he sware unto her, Whatsoever thou shalt ask of me, I will give it thee, unto the half of my kingdom. Verse 24. And she went forth, and said unto her mother, What shall I ask? And she said, the head of John the Baptist. Verse 25. And she came in straightway with haste unto the king, and asked, saying, I will that thou give me by and by in a charger the head of John the Baptist. Verse 26. And the king was exceeding sorry, yet for his oath's sake, and for their sakes which sat with him, he would not reject her. Verse 27. And immediately the king sent an executioner, and commanded his head to be brought, and he went and beheaded him in the prison. Verse 28. And brought his head in a charger, and gave it to the damsel, and the damsel gave it to her mother. Verse 29. And when his disciples heard of it, they came and took up his corpse, and laid it in a tomb. Reflection on verses 14 to 29. Death of John the Baptist. Herod's confusion and reluctant execution of John reveal the cost of courage. John preached truth boldly, and though threatened, remained faithful. His martyrdom warns us that standing for righteousness can bring opposition, but our duty is to God, not popularity. Verse 30. And the apostles gathered themselves together unto Jesus, and told him all things, both what they had done, and what they had taught. Verse 31. And he said unto them, Come ye yourselves apart into a desert place, and rest a while, for there were many coming and going, and they had no leisure so much as to eat. Verse 32. And they departed into a desert place by ship privately. Verse 33. And the people saw them departing, and many knew him, and ran afoot thither out of all cities, and outwent them, and came together unto him. Verse 34. And Jesus, when he came out, saw much people, and was moved with compassion toward them, because they were as sheep not having a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. Reflection on verses 30 to 34. Compassion over exhaustion. The disciples return exhausted from ministry. Jesus invites them to rest, but his heart goes out to the crowds. Their spiritual hunger reveals a deeper need for teaching and shepherding. God cares both to renew his workers and to shepherd his people. Verse 35. And when the day was now far spent, his disciples came unto him, and said, This is a desert place, and now the time is far past. Verse 36. Send them away, that they may go into the country round about, and into the villages, and buy themselves bread, for they have nothing to eat. Verse 37. He answered and said unto them, Give ye them to eat. And they say unto him, Shall we go and buy 200 pennyworth of bread, and give them to eat? Verse 38. He saith unto them, How many loaves have ye? Go and see. And when they knew, they say, 5, and 2 fishes. Verse 39. And he commanded them to make all sit down by companies upon the green grass. Verse 40. And they sat down in ranks, by hundreds, and by 50s. Verse 41. And when he had taken the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, he looked up to heaven, and blessed, and brake the loaves, and gave them to his disciples to set before them, and the 2 fishes divided he among them all. Verse 42. And they did all eat, and were filled. Verse 43. And they took up 12 baskets full of the fragments, and of the fishes. Verse 44. And they that did eat of the loaves were about 5,000 men. Reflection on verses 35 to 44. Feeding the 5,000. Faced with a crowd and no resources, Jesus multiplies 5 loaves and 2 fish. The disciples protest practicality, but Jesus shows abundant provision comes from faith, not numbers. Even leftover baskets remind us God does not waste. Sharing the little you have can lead to overflow. Verse 45. And straightway he constrained his disciples to get into the ship, and to go to the other side before unto Bethsaida, while he sent away the people. Verse 46. And when he had sent them away, he departed into a mountain to pray. Verse 47. And when even was come, the ship was in the midst of the sea, and he alone on the land. Verse 48. And he saw them toiling and rowing, for the wind was contrary unto them, and about the 4th watch of the night he cometh unto them, walking upon the sea, and would have passed by them. Verse 49. But when they saw him walking upon the sea, they supposed it had been a spirit, and cried out. Verse 50. For they all saw him, and were troubled. And immediately he talked with them, and saith unto them, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. Verse 51. And he went up unto them into the ship, and the wind ceased, and they were sore amazed in themselves beyond measure, and wondered. Verse 52. For they considered not the miracle of the loaves, for their heart was hardened. Reflection on verses 45 to 52. Walking on water. In the middle of their struggle, Jesus approaches them on the sea. His greeting, "It is I, be not afraid," echoes divine identity. Even seasoned disciples falter in fear. Our faith grows when we remember He is in the boat. Verse 53. And when they had passed over, they came into the land of Gennesaret, and drew to the shore. Verse 54. And when they were come out of the ship, straightway they knew Him. Verse 55. And ran through that whole region round about, and began to carry about in beds those that were sick, where they heard He was. Verse 56. And whithersoever He entered, into villages, or cities, or country, they laid the sick in the streets, and besought Him that they might touch if it were but the border of His garment, and as many as touched Him were made whole. Reflection on verses 53 to 56. Healing at Gennesaret. Once Jesus steps ashore, people bring the sick to Him. Some just touch the edge of His garment, and they are healed. Faith moved through desperation, humility, and belief. When we reach for Jesus, even in small ways, we too may experience His mercy. Final thoughts on Gospel of Mark chapter 6. Mark chapter 6 is a tapestry of rejection, mission, compassion, miraculous provision, divine authority, and healing. It teaches us to trust God with what little we have, to remain humble amid rejection, to rest when exhausted, and to reach out in faith.